Good afternoon. It is the July 3rd meeting of the Board of Adjustment. I'll call the meeting to order. We're here to hear special exemptions, variances, oil and gas related cases and appeals. And the first agenda item would be to receive the minutes of the June 19th meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Motion carries. Kath, do we have any continuances by the staff?
We don't have any today.
Okay. Are there any continuances by the public? Okay. With that, we'll go to there are no items on our consent docket, so we'll go to the first case.
Item number 1, case number 13906, request for use variance of Stevens & Johnson Operating Company for permit to drill an oil gas well located at 1921 Southeast 66th Street.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm Russ Walker. I represent Stevens & Johnson Operating Company. They are proposing to drill a well that is, you can see on your map, just north of Southeast 66th and west of Eastern. It is a well which will test formations in the Oklahoma City field. I can discuss the 4 criteria necessary for a variance if you would like me to. I feel certain that you all are familiar with those criteria.
We are, and we do have a staff report. I would waive that unless other members of the board would like to hear it. There have been no unfavorable conditions identified by the staff, the wells where previous drilling activity has taken place. Is that correct?
Yes, a whole lot of drilling activity has taken place all around it, and Stevens & Johnson is probably now the biggest operator in the Oklahoma City field.
I would make a motion to approve if there's nobody from the public speaking in opposition.
Is there anybody? I've not been received of anybody in opposition. Is there anyone in opposition to this? There being none.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion's approved.
Second.
Cast your votes. Thank you, sir. Motion carries.
Item number 2, case number 13907 through 13910, request for use variance of Stevens & Johnson Operating Company for a permit to drill 4 oil gas wells located at 8512, 8514, 8516, and 8518 South Sunny Lane Road.
Again, my name is Russ Walker. I represent Stevens & Johnson Operating Company.
Just deja vu.
Yeah, we're over 20 blocks is the only difference.
It is proposed that these 4 wells be drilled off of the same pad. They're drilled on land owned by one prominent surface owner with whom we've been in discussions quite a bit about the use of the land. We've already drilled 2 wells on the land. We have another one that has been permitted by this board, which has not been drilled yet. The surface owner, I know, has no objection to it. Again, this is right in the middle of the Oklahoma City field.
Okay, so we're approving 4 oil and gas wells on agenda item number 2.
There's a neighborhood just to the south. Do we have anybody from that neighborhood or representing anybody in that neighborhood? If there's no other discussion from the board, so I'd make a motion to approve.
We have a motion for approval and a second. Cast your vote. Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item number 3, case number 13899, request of Dee Dee Trang and Tai Du for a variance to the maximum 8-foot sign height located at 3324 and 3328 North Classen Boulevard.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. My name is Tai Du. I'm at 3324 North Classen Boulevard. I was here last time, and I did want to address the uniqueness aspect of the variance requirement. The above diagram right there shows, if you would, the blocked off area where the 2 offices are located, and they're both zone C1. All of the surrounding buildings are zone C3, if you will. The concern previously was that signs, as I pointed out in my application, there's actually a sign with a Jeep that sits on top of it. And I think that was probably the objection that was raised previously, insofar as as the signs fall down and come into, they'll have to be forced to come into compliance. The uniqueness aspect here is businesses zone C3 already have a 15-foot maximum requirement. And so I'm just asking basically to be placed in the same position.
You're asking to be in conformity with everything surrounding your property.
I'm sorry?
You're asking for conformity. Everything surrounding you is C3 except this one your corner.
That's correct. That's correct, Mr. Hurst. And to the extent that there was an objection that was actually submitted, I was able to talk to Ms. Schuster, and she did submit a withdrawal of that objection. If you don't have that, I do have additional copies that I'm able to provide you.
Could you hand it to Kathy, please?
Absolutely.
I didn't see that in the packet. She was going to? Okay. Okay, so she's withdrawn her objection. It's completely surrounded by C3. There are no other people in protest. Any further questions of the board?
Question? Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not in support of this, but I really feel like it's perfectly possible for them to comply with the sign ordinance. It would not cause any kind of hardship that I can see. I would much rather they have two signs that are the right size and put some giant sign out there. And I really don't see the impact as being negative, certainly not to an extent that would cause hardship. There is one that seems to be only economic.
Well, I think that is the hardship, is that the fact that their C1 pad is the only thing within 3 or 4 or 5 blocks.
And Ms. Powers, I took your objection to heart, and forgive me, you weren't present when I presented it. Oh, no, I should have had this prepared last time. The C3, they already have a maximum height requirement of 15 foot, so that if one of their signs were to fall down, they would, they would already have a 15-foot sign, and mine would be the only business in that area with the 8-foot requirement. So I just wanted to mention that. And also, to the extent that I felt like the objection that was submitted, was kind of negative and pejorative. So I do want to mention that the permits were obtained for everything that Ms. Schuster reported. And so I have a building as well as an electrical permit of 210-00958 and 07651 for the additions that Ms. Schuster had mentioned. Dr. Trang travels to rural communities to perform medicine where otherwise there wouldn't be. I volunteer for Legal Aid Services of Oklahoma monthly at the Epworth United Methodist Clinic, and I love the community and certainly will continue to be a contributing member.
Any other questions of the board?
I'm going to move approval.
We have a motion for approval. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Cast your vote. Motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Item number 4, case number 13900, request of James Loftus Architects for a variance to the sign regulations located at 2801 Northwest 27th Street.
Hello, Board. Mr. Harris. How are you,
Mr.
sir?
Hinkle, how are you?
I'm good.
I think Mr. Loftus could have picked a better representative. But.
And thank you. Matt Hinkle with Tyler Media, representing James Loftus and the Friends of Northwest Classen High School. Have been here in front of you guys once before and got a variance for a digital sign at Northwest Classen. Completely paid for by donations from the Friends of Northwest Classen that they're going to gift back to the city once it's up and done. So that being said, like I said, we've already got a variance, but as all things happen in committee, when we came back with the variance, they said, well, gosh, could we make it bigger? So I said, well, that will require another variance, and here I am. But I did bring some pictures this time. This is what you allowed in the variance, and this is what we're requesting. The sign is no bigger left or right. The sign is taller by a foot. The digital board that goes inside of it is the larger of the two. This sets way, way, way off of the road. It's probably not visible from traffic. It's really for the nights they have
A play
shows.
or something?
Yeah.
It appears to me that the sign is not only a foot taller, but 3 feet wider.
The
left and
digital
right.
portion of the sign is 3 feet wider. The left to right expanse of the sign hasn't increased due to the, I mean, it's still the same length, it's just the
The same
digital sign.
space that
Digital
exists there.
sign is what is larger. It is
The overall
4 by 15 as opposed to 3 by 12 is what you guys agreed to the first time around.
And the reason for the request is because the committee got to looking at it, and
And like I said, all things go by committee, and the committee changed their mind midstream, and I said, before I do this the second time around, are you sure this is what you want? And they said yes. So I would appreciate it if you guys would consider letting them have the variance. That will make my phone call to Mr. Loftus much easier.
Any questions of the board? And nobody's in objection to this?
I don't know of any objection.
And nobody is in objection here? Okay. I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve. I'll second.
Okay, a motion. Cast your votes. Motion carries.
Thank you guys for being here, and have a nice holiday.
You too, Matt.
Do.
Item number 5, case number 13901, request of MidFirst Bank for a variance to the sign regulations located at 777 Northwest Grand Boulevard and 999 Northwest Grand Boulevard.
Good afternoon. David Box, 522 Colcord Drive, here on behalf of the applicant. We have an application to have a couple variances for some signs. It's certainly unique because we have an office complex where typically office zoning, the sign is dictated to be smaller because you have smaller buildings. And when we look at signage, I think what's important with the signage is the scale. And when you look at the scale of the signage that we propose, it's in your staff report, and we also have these billboards. We think that the scale that's proposed is certainly in keeping with the building, but as you see in the packet from around town, it is in keeping with multiple multi-story office buildings all around town. And so the reason for the variance is, in order to have a sign that would create appropriate scale and create appropriate awareness of what these buildings are, we do need the variance. There's also a variance needed to allow a sign in the right-of-way, and that's addressed in the staff report under one of the unfavorables regarding sight distance with traffic. I do want to note there is an existing sign out there today. It's been there since 1996, and it's actually oriented so that you read it east to west. Our sign will actually be oriented where it's read north to south, so it'll actually be turned skinny, so it'll actually have less impact on any traffic than what would already be there, and it'll actually be the same size. So I do think it's important to note that everyone's probably aware of the MidFirst building that's to the east of here. Those letters, which we think are perfectly in scale and appropriate, are 6.5 feet tall. These are going to be 5 feet tall. So they're actually less than what's already out there, but again, in keeping with the size of the buildings and knowing that scale is important, we think that this is certainly appropriate, and we would ask for your approval.
so the existing signage on the building to the east, which is 501, 504, you're saying is 6.5 feet, top to bottom?
Yes.
Is that lighted?
Yes.
They're lighted in? similar to what you're requesting now?
Yes, sir.
Is the font and everything else the same?
Absolutely.
Scale is just somewhat different.
Yeah, same font, same colors.
No, you have none of your neighbors or and nobody in the zoning or 300 feet's in opposition to this that you're aware of?
Correct. We've heard of no opposition.
Any comments or further discussion?
I'd make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Cast your votes. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item number 6, case number 13905, application for special exception of Sharon Keir to permit the continued use of a mobile home to serve as a temporary second dwelling in order to relieve a medical hardship located at 10300 Keir Drive.
I'm here for Ms. Keir. She's in the hospital right now.
Okay. Could you just state your name and address for the record?
Scott Hill, 11721 Southeast 104th Street,
Okay.
Oklahoma City.
This is an existing extension of a previously granted hardship, and the staff has identified no unfavorable conditions. Are you aware of
No.
of anything? Okay.
How long will this, it's conditional, how long, what period of time? 3 years?
3 years.
Okay.
So you would like a hardship for 3 years?
Yes.
Okay.
I'd make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Please cast your votes. Motion carries. Thank you, sir. Have a good holiday.
Have health.
Item number 7, case number 13911, request of Derek Carter for a variance to the minimum aisle width and minimum driveway radius requirements located at 2215 Northwest 39th Street.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I've got some addendums. Can I bring them to you?
Mr. Carter, have you been involved in the efforts in this area to kind of upgrade the streetscape and so on?
No, only just this building.
No, there is actually a city-sponsored effort underway along this stretch of 39th Street, and Kim Cooper Hart, who's our staff person, planning person, who is sort of spearheading that effort on the city's side. Kim Cooper Hart is out of town, so she has not been able to look at this and has not had an opportunity to speak with...
With that being said, are you asking for a continuance? I think that'd be
Yes.
appropriate in this circumstance.
Yes, that was what I was going to ask, if you would be okay continuing this to our next hearing so that we can get some input from staff and maybe put you in touch with some folks in the area that can help you negotiate whatever objections there may be to this
Okay.
from neighbors and so on.
So that would take it to the meeting of the 17th, unless, that would give you some time.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, we don't have that. We only meet once in...
August 7th.
Yeah, that would take to the August 7th meeting.
Okay.
That would allow us to get more comments from staff and hopefully give you some time to work out some of the objections that have been outlined.
Would you be agreeable to that?
Yes.
One thing while I have you, the objection that was filed by Marcy Jett, have you seen that?
Yes, I've seen it.
Have you had discussions with Ms. James about this?
What was the first part of the question?
Have you had any discussions with them
No.
about their objections?
No, I've just read it. But I think we're asking for something really simple, and from what I read, it was what they were opposing was something a little different, that we were going to encroach on their property, and
Yeah, they're making an encroachment argument.
we're not going to be encroaching at all.
Okay.
We've got an engineer's plan that shows how the driveway will work and how we're going to secure the back area with the fence, and there won't be any encroachments at all.
I can't tell you what to do, but you might show Ms. James those
Okay.
engineering drawings, and maybe that'll help the situation.
Okay.
Okay?
So you're agreeable to continuing it to the August meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion to
We
continue.
have a motion and a second. Cast your vote. Okay.
Thank
It'll
you.
be continued to the 7th.
Item number 8, case number 13912, request of Millhouse Development for a variance to the front yard setback requirement located at 801 Northwest 10th Street.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I'm Betsy Brenstetter. I'm representing Architectural Design Group ADG and Millhouse, and we're asking for a variance to the ordinance requiring that a building is set to 10 feet from the property line. And in this particular case, it's on the corner of 10th and Chartel, and the traffic circle is situated such that the property line in one instance actually extends over the curb line, which, you know, obviously we would not want to sit it that close. And we are also trying to engage the street and make the building really more walkable and really extend that excitement of the Midtown area. So we're hoping that you will allow us to set the building back to 14 feet and 15 feet beyond and it varies along the face of that.
And you've been approved by the Downtown Design and Review Board on the 16th of January, correct?
Yes.
And you're aware, is anybody here in opposition? Okay. Questions of the board?
I'd make a motion to approve.
We have a motion and a second. Cast your vote. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 9, case number 13913, with request of Rick McIntosh and Linda Haskins for a variance to allow a single-family residence in the AE1 Airport Environ Zone located at 9317 Southeast 36th Street.
Good morning.
Good afternoon.
Or good afternoon. My name is Linda Haskins.
Could you please move the microphone a little bit? Yes, so you both. Okay, thanks.
We lost our house in the May 20th tornado, and we bought this property at 9317 Southeast 36th so that we could build a new house. And when we went to get the permit, they denied the permit and said that that was a no-fly zone, but we weren't aware of that when we bought the property. No one disclosed that to us.
There was a house existing there at the time you purchased
Yes.
the property, correct?
It was broken down, uninsurable. It's a neighborhood.
Yep.
JJ, is there, I had a similar case like this down in Norman. Is there an overline FAA permit on top of the city permit that has a height restriction?
Yes, but they would be well under that.
Okay, that was my question. I couldn't remember.
I think it's like 200 feet.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's like 100 feet or 200 feet.
You have several members of this board who are lawyers, and I'm sure that, like me, they're all just biting their tongues to keep from commenting on various aspects of your situation. The one that I would just can't refrain from asking is, do you think that this house will be insurable when you get it built, given its location?
Oh, yeah. The foundation was buckled on the old one.
Not because of its condition. I mean, just strictly based on its location. Have you checked into that?
No, we didn't check to see if it was insurable, but when we applied for the loan, they were going to insure the build and just said that, you know.
Okay. It's something you might want to check into before you get any further invested in this financially, just to make sure that what you end up with is something that you'll be able to have confidence in your value being there in the future. I went by and looked at this. I initially had a very, kind of no way reaction just to the staff report. We are very, very, very protective of our boundaries with respect to our municipal airport, of course, and I was just, not quite sure. But after going out and looking at the area, I don't have a problem at all with the application, and I'll move approval.
I'll second.
Motion for approval in a second. Cast your vote. The motion carries. Thank you. Good luck. Before we adjourn on the 4th of July holiday weekend, agenda number 6, communication and reports from the board members and committees. Agenda item number 10 would be the annual election of the Board of Adjustment officers. Is there a recommendation?
I'd like to make a motion, Mr. Chairman, that Mike Voorhees succeed you as board chairman for the next year.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Cast your votes. Congratulations, Mr. Voorhees. We need to elect a vice chairman as well.
I'd make a motion that Mr. Jeff Austin be the vice chair.
Cast your votes. We have a chairman and a vice chairman. Congratulations to you both. You both have had a very long, much longer tenure than I have on the board. It's been great to rely on both of y'all's sage advice.
Are you going to bang the gavel as your last act?
I was going to hand it to Mike, actually. I want to say the banging the gavel to Stage Center only. So with there being no other business, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. Cast your votes. We are adjourned. There you go.